Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to class. Let's continue covering where we left off, or pick up where we left off. We finished with independent and dependent variables with the corresponding examples placed below. The next piece of the scientific method that you need to have written down is a control. Part of your science experiments, or most of your scientific experiments, require what's called a control. Let's figure out what this is. A control is used so that you can compare the results of your test to a standard case. Another term that you can use correspondingly with the word control is the word standard. You can relate to that word probably a little easier than control. Synonymously, they mean the same. So let me give you an example. So an example case would be allergy testing. How many of you have had allergy tests to see what you're allergic to? Okay? 3, 4 of you guys? Okay, so now you understand, or will understand, a little bit more of why they do this and how they're able to identify what you're actually allergic to versus not. So before the doctor gives you the injections of different plant and pollen that you might or might not be allergic to, they give you an injection, a small injection of saline solution. What is saline solution? That is salt water, ladies and gentlemen. Same stuff you cry out of your eyes. So in 99.9% of the time, your body does not have reactions to saline solution. However, in terms of major reactions, your body still will give a reaction to the injection itself, the needle and the saline being injected underneath the skin. It will have some reaction and it will show a small bump, okay, or a small swell or welt on your skin. That height of the injection or reaction to the saline injection is the standard. It's what they have to use to compare to see whether or not you are having an actual reaction to the other injections, which then they proceed to inject you with many different types, as you can see with this poor little baby, many different injections to see what their body does. Does it respond differently? So if something reacts with a larger swelling to the skin or a bump, it indicates that your body is or may be allergic to it. Does that make sense? So it's really important to understand a control. A control is the environment that it's being tested in. It has to be the same. It's got to be a standard. You can't use apples and oranges. You got to use always apples consistently, so you have something you can state it worked because of X. For example, another one, if you wanted to use how to suck an egg into a bottle, a hard-boiled egg, if it's not able to suck into the bottle, you don't just get a bigger bottle and then say, look, it worked. You have to stick with the same standard or the same control. Okay? Alright, and last but not least, after everything is done, your experiment's completed, you write a conclusion. Okay? The last piece to the scientific method. The data you come up with during your experiment may be used to help you write your conclusion, or it should at least concur with your conclusion, your conclusion should concur with your hypothesis, or if you proved it wrong, then you can emphasize in your conclusion why it didn't, if that makes sense. So, that's it for the scientific methods. What you're guys going to do in class today is we're going to watch this video. It's a video of a prodigy young female rock climber who is now 19 and is in the World Olympics for climbing. She's one of the top 8 in the world. At the time of 11, she broke a lot of records, and it talks about why she was able to do that. indicates her shoes, okay? So they require specialized shoes to maximize her grip and safety while climbing. So we're going to do this in class. We're going to test each other's shoes in groups of 4 against each other within your group to see who has the best rock climbing shoe amongst each of you. After that, then we will compete as a whole, who has the best shoes, taking the top shoes out of each group and competing them on the whiteboard to see who has the best grip. In the process, you are going to write a question, a hypothesis, your observations through your experiments, the steps that you were able to take doing so, the control you used, with a conclusion at the end in each of your groups. If you were gone, you need to do this at home and use your shoes versus another pair of shoes maybe you have, and test them on the wall and see which one, after writing down this, which one does grip better and why, using your observations and your analyses to write a conclusion. If you go ahead and do that, you'll get your 10 points. If you're in class today, you'll be able to confirm and complete this task. This is your assignment today to get 10 points. You're going to create, again, a question. So the question should be, I wonder whose shoe is the best for rock climbing. Then you hypothesize. I think Joe's shoe is the best because it has X patterns on the grip. This is all by example. Observations, you test it. Did it work? Did it not? And then you explain or change a hypothesis, or you change your, you write down your steps of how you went through it and whether or not your hypothesis was correct or not correct, and then adjust accordingly to make your final conclusion of which one was because of why. Then that shoe is going to be tested against others in the class. Okay? And that would be it for this lab, or lecture and lab. It's a verbal, not verbal. It's going to be in class lab, no paper assignment. So again, if you were absent this day, you need to do this, and then you write me this information regarding your test with your 2 different types of shoes and your reasoning behind it using the scientific method, and you'll get your 10 points. Please review this so you have this information going forward to get your 10 points. So if you don't see 10 points on your grade sheet and it's blank, that's because you haven't done the lab in class, and you were absent if you forgot. Okay? Thanks guys. Have a good day.